Welcome back to Collecting Issues, where this week we'll be taking a look at Beta Ray Bill, Argent Star, collecting issues 1 to 5 of the 2021 Marvel series by Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike Spicer.
So the comic book education continues?
We're talking inappropriate comic books.
You're into comic books, aren't you?
That's comic book shit.
Like in the comic books.
Old Spicy Mike, as we call him. Thanks for coming back. We are taking a break from sweating, but to bring you the latest issue of Collecting Issues, sometimes bi-weekly, sometimes monthly comic book club. We've gone all loose and meta in our scheduling. It's summer.
Oh, Michael, we're just playing fast and loose with the rules of podcasting, like we used to do, Michael, when we were young.
Fasty loosey.
We're reclaiming our youth, sweating to death.
Anyway, look, we're talking about, speaking of beta cooks, we're talking about Marvel's eternal beta cook, Beta Ray Bill, this week.
Beta Ray Bill. Michael, this comic is a bit mental in that it highlights one of Thor's, I suppose, fan favourite characters. And
He's
gives
a man
him
with a horse face.
He's a man with a horse face, Michael, and gives him a little journey through space. It's a space odyssey. Now, Michael,
What is it?
you and I understand what space odysseys are. It's where a character is given a mission, and instead of sailing on the seas, Michael, they go through the space waves on a ship, and they pick up a ragtag crew of misfits to aid them in their journey. And usually they find that the treasure they were looking for was inside them all along.
Isn't that so often the way? Not in real life, but in Odysseys. Yes, Benjamin, this is a classic up and down, top to bottom, start to finish space adventure. Let's go on a space adventure. We'll gather a motley crew, 4 or 5, maybe 6 people. We'll do a big adventure. There'll be an end boss. There'll be a goal. It's grand. No, don't complicate this with any of your meta-textual nonsense. Let's just do an Odyssey, a space Odyssey.
And Michael, I think it's all the better for it.
Oh, it's very tight, isn't it? It's very
it's a tight
and
5.
simple.
It's tight 5.
I think this is the shortest thing we've ever looked at on Collecting Issues, the bi-weekly and sometimes monthly comic book club.
And Michael, it's the first ever listener recommended title that we're tackling on Collecting Issues, the bi-weekly, sometimes monthly comic book club.
Is it? Are you sure about that? Are
No,
you
I'm not.
willing to lay... No, I don't think it is. I'm
Of
sure.
season
We've
2,
been doing
though.
this for like 7 years. I'm sure.
Of season 2, though.
Of the new season. Okay,
Of the
okay.
new
Okay,
season.
that's fair enough.
So yeah, a massive shout out to James who follows us on TikTok and always engages with us on TikTok and gave us this great suggestion because he saw that we had just covered the Prey run from Donny Cates and the lads over at Bloody Marvel. So yeah, thanks James. Cheers.
Thanks, James.
Cheers. I don't know if you'll ever listen to this, but if you want your name half-heartedly shouted out on a podcast, folks, why don't you head on down to the description there at the bottom of this episode and give us a follow on the likes of TikTok, on the likes of Instagram. It'll be at Collecting Issues Podcast on both of those. You can follow the Substack if you find our voices rather grating and want to read stuff about comics instead. That's down there as well. We're on YouTube if you want to look at our faces. I don't know why you would. Michael's got a lovely face, in fairness, and a great set of pins. Check out the socials to see those aforementioned great
big, thick
pins.
legs, Ben. I've got big, thick, muscular legs, like a Corbinite.
At the end of this particular comic, ladies and gentlemen, we see young Beta Ray Bill face off against Surtur, the Lord of Muspelheim.
Oh, there he is.
Very hard to say. There he is up behind Mick there. There are a few flying kicks thrown by Beta Ray Bill. He's got big, thick legs on him. And I said,
Big,
is that
thick
Mick
legs.
Leonard in a comic? Wasn't.
Yeah.
Wasn't.
No.
But
I also have quite an unpleasant face.
easily mistook. Got a big old horse face. I suppose, Michael,
Big
that's a
old
good
horse
place.
face.
That's a good place for us to start with this. This is a bizarre reason to go on a space odyssey. This comic has a bizarre reason to go on a space odyssey.
Is this where we're starting, Ben? I thought there was a running order to this.
There is
move
kind
us on
of
a running
but
order.
The elevator pitch to this is important, Michael.
Yeah.
So-
okay. Oh, this is the elevator pitch. Okay, very good.
So let's go into the elevator pitch for this, right?
All right.
I would say that if you were to have a title card at the start of this comic, it would be in which Beta Ray Bill does not find his inner worth after a perilous journey through space.
No, he doesn't. He's still sad.
He's still sad at the end, Michael. And then I think this is a fascinating reason to go into space. It is. I say this with a great deal of caution, Michael, but essentially there's a very incel reason that Bill decides to go and venture into space. And the incel reason is that, number one, he can't really escape from Thor's shadow. Number two, Sif won't let him get the leg over. And number three, he can't make himself pretty and twinkish anymore.
Wow, Brian, you've been really infected by the internet brain rot. First of
Have
all,
you?
yes, he
Yeah.
can't. He can't get out of Thor's shadow. And in fact, Thor to reduce the discourse to the level that you seem to be bringing it to, Thor has cooked him in this by smashing his hammer, basically.
Yes. Now,
So Thor has smashed his magic hammer, Stormbreaker, off panel in a previous story. And
Yes.
then Beta Ray Bill has been, to use your lingo again, Benjamin, cooked again by Donald Blake, who's another version of Thor. So
Yeah.
he gets his ass kicked by Thor, he gets his hammer broken, then he gets beaten up by Donald Blake, and then Thor is like, don't worry though, we're still mates. You're in charge of being in charge of Asgard. And then Beta Ray Bill fucks that up because he can't beat Fin Fang Foom in a fight.
yeah.
Or
Yeah.
or just say beat Fin Fang Foom in a fight, which is a hard thing to say.
I can't
And
say
then
it.
Thor shows up and beats Fin Fang Foom, thereby cooking him again in front of a whole crowd, including his girlfriend, Ben.
Yes, twice
And then-
cooked.
Yeah. Thrice cooked at this stage.
Yes, at this stage,
And then
thrice cooked.
Thrice cooked. And then he goes, fuck this. I'm off into space on an Odyssey. I like that he goes off on this Odyssey off his own back.
Yeah, there's no invitation to adventure in this.
No.
There's no hero's journey going on here.
No.
He literally goes, do you know what? Sod
Fuck it.
this.
Fuck it. Fucking hate this place.
Oh my God.
Fucking bullshit.
Now, what I will say for Bill, because I like Bill as a character, and I like this comic for what it does for Beta Ray Bill. What I will say for this is, if a big Giga Chad Thor swooped in, lightning bolted Fin Fang Foom in a one shot, and then walked up to me and said, "Jeez, I thought you would have had an easier time with that there, Bill." I'd also go, "Do you know what, Thor?
Fuck you.
You fucking prick.
You absolute asshole.
You."
Fuck you. You broke my hammer anyway. You big dickhead.
Yeah, big
Benjamin.
dick. Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, right? Oh, no. Are we getting into it here? Because I have a few things to say about that take.
Oh, go on. Well, why don't you?
Well, I don't think it's as incelly as...
No.
Well, first of all, I don't think Sif rejects him.
No.
Sif is a bit shocked that he can't turn back into his normal face. Now, Benjamin, you are our resident expert on comic book penises. Does Cyborg Horseman Beta Ray Bill have a penis?
Oh, I assume so. It's never stated directly, Michael. I've never had it stated directly. And I looked for this episode. I did go digging.
That's why I asked you, Ben, because I knew
Yeah.
I knew you would know.
However, I will say that Bill was fully on board with going to Sif's chambers
Yeah.
to engage in the beast with two backs.
Yes, exactly. The ride, yeah.
The ride, as it were. So I'm assuming he has some sort of functional genitalia.
Yeah, and then she was a bit upset that he couldn't stop being a horseface man. But I don't think she rejected him. He overreacted to her being a bit surprised. That's how I
He
read
did.
it.
He did. He has a bit of a storm through the castle in dismay moment, and it's one of those classic sitcom setups where it's like, actually, if you'd waited another 2 minutes and just
Sit down
explained,
and talk to someone. Yeah. Nah, fuck it. I'm storming off on a space adventure. Which, Benjamin, let's be honest, if we all had that option, that is exactly what we do every time we fought with our significant others.
If
Instead
I
of coming
had,
over to my house and doing a podcast.
if I had a giant sentient spaceship, Michael, you'd never see
Yeah.
me after a disagreement.
Never see it.
I'd be
Never,
gone.
just constantly on
I've a
fucking
giant-
adventures.
I have a giant mythic sword to get. Leave me be. Leave me be.
Yeah, very good.
No, look, I think I'm being a little bit. You're right, Michael. I'm being a little bit facetious, and I'm inselling where there is no need to incel, as it were.
No, but I don't think you're entirely wrong at the same time, because this is a comic about Bill not dealing with shit.
And
It's about like
nobody.
It would feel to me that the main point of this is he goes on an external journey to try to make up for how he's feeling, but it doesn't really.
Yeah. Also, his call to adventure, as it were, if we want to stick with our hero's journey analog, he's given several opportunities to be introspective, and he just goes, "No,
Yeah.
no."
He's like,
No.
Beta Ray Bill, what do you think about your spaceship is suddenly a sexy lady who's in love with you? And he's like, yeah, whatever. Let's get this
Who
fucking sword.
cares?
Let's get
Where's
this
my
sword so I
sword?
can be Thor again.
Yeah, where's my sword, bro?
Where is it? I'm gonna give someone a big power bomb.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. So it is interesting because it's not often a narrative that we see. I was expecting, and spoilers if you haven't read this comic, folks.
No! What are you doing if you haven't read it?
Yeah,
What are you listening to this for?
Go
Go away and read it and then come back. That's the whole conceit of this podcast.
The best news is, if you want to understand the context that's brought us to this Beta Ray Bill comic, go and listen to our Thor Prey episode. Go on,
It's a
get
whole
caught
other
up.
episode.
Get
2
caught
episodes
up.
to listen to.
The thrice cooking of Beta Ray Bill is examined in detail in that episode. It's linked below in the description. Go listen.
Go listen to it, then come back.
Go listen to it, then come back. But yeah, he's given that opportunity several times. And it's pretty interesting to see him reject it again and again. I haven't seen that done in a comic very often, where not only does the character stubbornly refuse to grow as a person,
It's great.
but they still succeed as a result.
Yeah. It's like, Bill, are we gonna take our time going through these memory rooms and maybe address the trauma that you've been to? No, big sword! Big sword. Fucking big sword to get.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, it's pretty interesting to see that happen. So this is so interesting for a number of reasons. Like, number one is Bill himself. There are some interesting narrative tropes and themes to this that I find kind of fascinating. Number one, did you pick up on the fact, Michael, that
Yes.
the 90s movie Hook, starring Robin Williams and Dustin Hoffman, is playing on Scuttlebutt at the beginning of the journey and at the end of the journey? So
Is that about a boy who refuses to grow up, Ben?
it is. And then it's about a boy who refuses to engage in introspection and unlock his once great power. And I found that really interesting, Michael, because it plays both at the beginning of the thing, where Robin Williams' character is being called a fraud by Rufio.
Yeah. Robin
young
Williams'
act-
character, you mean Peter Pan?
Peter Pan, Michael, or Peter in Hook as he's known. He doesn't really take the Pan name. The Pan moniker is given to a man who can fly and take on pirates. And then what happens is it plays again at the end when Scuttlebutt and Bill are sitting in a room. Bill is in his human form and he's just having a look at the big feck-off sword that he's gotten. And it's playing in the background again. And this time it's the scene where a young boy touches Peter Pan's face and says, "Oh, there you are, Peter." And he finds himself. And it's very interesting, Michael. It's very interesting.
Yeah. But he doesn't find himself really, does he?
He doesn't. This, Michael, I think gives us more context for Beta Ray Bill than I had ever seen before in comics. This gave an extra layer of depth to the character that I hadn't seen before and quite liked. We get a much better look at the toll of losing his planet took on him, which I think in the cocaine-fueled 80s of his debut, Michael, Beta Ray
Everyone was
Bill,
losing planets. It's
Everyone
grand.
was
Where's your
losing
planets? Blown up. Blown up. Don't worry about it. I'm angry
lucky-
or
Yeah.
looking for
It was-
vengeance or whatever.
Yeah, it was less common to keep your planet in 1983. And Walter Simonson is the original creator of this, and he brought in a lot of the space elements to Thor in the late 70s, early 80s. And there's an interview with him at the back of this particular comic. Daniel Warren Johnson gets to interview him, which is not as
DWJ, as we call them.
DWJ gets to interview him, and it's a pretty interesting interview. But again, as you said, everyone lost their planets on a weekly basis back in the day when you wanted to create a new character. But one of the things that's interesting is that this gives an awful lot more flavor to the cost of all this for Bill. Like, we knew he was his planet's champion. We knew he lost his planet. We knew he aligned himself with the Asgardians because they gave him a hammer. But overall, we didn't get to see that much of what was happening. So it turns out it was a lottery, and he was taken away from his mother and subjected to what I can only describe are horrific experiments to augment himself.
Yeah, it turned him into a horrible horseface man. Benjamin, is it true the Corbynites are named after Jeremy Corbyn, leader of the UK Labour Party?
It's actually not true, Michael, unfortunately. I did another little bit of digging for this very podcast, and it turns out Jeremy Corbyn, no relation.
Oh, that's a shame.
No relation. Not even a whiff of a socialist view from Bill.
I think he's a little socialist. Like
Is he?
giving up your child for the good of the...
I don't think
Planet,
I don't
that's
think he
pretty
opted in
socialist.
for that. I don't think
did he
I don't
not?
think that was born out of belief. No, she's taken from his mum. He just comes to these two fellas come to the door and they go, "Well, congratulations, ma'am." And she goes, "Oh, why?" And it's like, "Well, your son, he's been chosen." And then she's like, "Okay, Bill, off you go with
I
the
don't
lads
know.
there."
I got the feeling she knew, though. I got the feeling she knew, so I assumed
Yeah.
they had volunteered him, actually. That's interesting.
I don't think he'd been volunteered. I don't think he was like, "Oh, yay, I'm
No,
going
he
to
was
go
only a
serve the
little fella.
Corbinites."
Yeah.
And then, Michael, we're given a little bit more context as to Scuttlebutt. Because Scuttlebutt, the sentient ship in space, is the most 1980s Marvel concept I can fathom. This character has a sentient spaceship that he's bonded to. Why?
Yeah, yeah.
Doesn't
So
matter.
do a lot of people. Everyone had that in
Doesn't
the 80s.
matter.
Ship.
Doesn't matter. But this made it all the sadder. Because it turns out that Scuttlebutt would not only be the ship that he was bonded to, but the machine that would operate and augment him into the champion of Corbin? Is it Corbin? I don't know. I can't
Actually, I
remember the
don't know
name of the
what
planet.
planet's called.
I don't know what the planet's called. I know they're called
planet called?
Corbinites.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to have to
Corbin?
look that up.
Jeremy. Planet Jeremy.
Planet Jeremy. Yeah. So he becomes the champion of Jeremy. And then, that's sprinkled in a little bit over the course of the comic, right? Is how he became the champion and how he met Thor and how that all kind of shook out. But it's a fascinating look at... I think Bill is more the war machine that he was made than he would care to be. And the end arc of this comic, the final showdown with Surtur in Muspelheim, is kind of a reinforcement that actually what you are now is a weapon. That's what you are, and that's what he chooses. He keeps talking about, I want to be my old self. I want to be my old self. I want to be my old self. But in becoming his old self again, he has to use ruthless amounts of violence and war. He's just he is the weapon, and I think that's what that final scene is with Pan or with Hook playing in the background. Is him and Scuttlebutt are sitting there looking at a sword, and that's the real Beta Ray Bill. He's just a big fuck off soldier.
Yeah, because he looks in the mirror and he's back to his Corbinite appearance, but he looks in the mirror and he still sees a horrible cybernetic horseface killer man.
Yeah, and
goes,
Pip is like,
"Oh,
yeah,
that
exactly.
is the real me."
Yeah, and Pip is like, "You did it, Bill. You got your face back," and he's like, "Yep, sure did."
So that was felt worth it.
And exactly. He's like, "Oh, totally worth it."
So into this, so into having my face back. Benjamin,
Yeah,
here's a funny thing about this comic.
go on.
Did you notice what it's called?
Argent Star.
Argent Star, right? And is there any reference to anything being an Argent Star in the comic? Do they visit an Argent Star or anything like that? No, they don't.
think so.
No. An Argent Star, Benjamin, that's like silver. Is this about silver medals? Is this about Beta Ray Bill is always second place? Is that what Argent Star means?
That's quite an interesting take, Michael. So Thor is the golden boy, as it were.
Exactly.
And oh wow, that's an interesting. So like Daniel Warren Johnson has set this up then to be like, well, it doesn't matter what you do, Bill.
Yeah.
You're still gonna be
You're destined to be second place. Yeah.
Because one of the ramifications you might take from this is, and I realize this is, it probably wouldn't work that way now with the level that Thor is at, but getting Twilight is no small feat. So Twilight is the giant sword that Surtur wields, and he's been waiting for. There it is behind Mick. You can see it there behind him. But that's
It's a very small version.
this is a very small version of that sword. But getting Twilight means he's pretty much on a god level again. Like even beyond Mjolnir. Like Twilight is a planet solar system destroying sword that feeds itself on the souls of the dead. It's really fucking intense.
Big grin as well.
But yeah, so like Argent Star is an interesting one. So he's kind of destined to be second fiddle, I guess.
Unless, of course, the Argent Star is Scuttlebutt.
Yeah,
Scuttlebutt
well, I mean,
is a kind of silver star up in the sky watching over him.
Scuttlebutt is probably the most interesting character to come out of this, in my opinion. Well, interesting and fetishistic, but we'll get into that in a few minutes.
In a different podcast.
Yeah. Look,
What?
this is an interesting hero's journey in that it's not really that at all. It's
No,
such
it's not really.
The most interesting thing about this, Michael, is if you want to, again, come back to that mythological framework or that narrative structure of the hero's journey, generally speaking, there are plenty of weapon quests in video games, in movies, in whatever. The weapons quest usually has a very important purpose, though. There is an antagonist that needs slaying, and you need that weapon to do it, because otherwise you can't do it. That's not Bill's purpose. Bill wants a weapon powerful enough to revert him from a giant augmented horse-faced warrior into a twink. And it's
so you can
really
kiss.
interesting.
So you can get a big kiss.
So you can get a big kiss from Sif. And here's one of the most interesting things for me from kind of a visual standpoint. Beta Ray Bill is not ugly by the standard of the universe he's operating within.
No, he's just an alien.
He's
Like,
just an
everyone
alien.
looks weird.
I don't
Everyone's
understand
weird looking
this.
motherfuckers. Yeah.
So it happens like 3 times. Sif, first of all, is a little bit uncomfortable. And I understand that because her expectation is that she's going to get pre-augmentation Bill, because in the Thor Prey storyline, she saw Bill's more humanoid form and went, ooh, that's a bit dishy. I'd like a bit of that.
Old flat face Bill, as we call him.
Yeah, old flat-face Bill. Let's call him that. And what happened
Old
there
long back
was,
Bill.
and as he explains, my Asgardian magic was stripped and I was essentially reverted to a prior form. When Donald Blake took out the Asgardian magic, he took away a bunch of other stuff as well, and I got to be Flat-Face Bill.
Yes.
But then it happens the second time when he goes to a bar looking for Odin, and he asks a woman, he goes, "Excuse me, ma'am," and she just goes, "Ah!" She
Oh my
flips
god,
out.
it's a weird looking person.
To which,
In an alien
surely,
bar.
yeah, in a space biker bar, you would go, "Ah, yeah,
Normal. Normal enough.
pretty fucking normal." Like,
Normal.
pretty normal. So that was the thing that was most interesting to me. And then a third time it happens, it doesn't happen to Bill. It happens to Pip, who's the little troll companion that stows away on the Scuttlebutt. And Pip,
Patton Oswalt.
he goes, "Why are you doing this, Pip?" And he goes, "Well, I'm ugly too, Bill." And he's not. It's just like...
He's short though, Ben. And short is worse than ugly.
And I was just sitting there going, this is Daniel Warren Johnson's greatest flaw, is that he can't draw ugly enough. Because everything else from an artistic point of view in this comic, I went, nom, nom, nom. Give me 14 of them right now. This is phenomenal. But
That's
it's
funny,
just-
Ben. I was initially unimpressed with the art.
Okay.
So when I picked this up, first, who's doing the art? Is it DWJ or is it Mike Spicer?
DWJ.
Spike,
Mike
as we call
Spicer
him.
is the colorist.
Oh, okay, very good. So when I picked this up, I was like, oh, you want to be the boys when you grow up as well, do you? Because it has that edge of the boys of knobbly gnarly universe.
Okay.
Like Lady Sif looks like, now Benjamin, obviously I've never been on the website, but Lady Sif looks like an OnlyFans cosplayer of Lady Sif,
Right.
I imagine. You know what I
Nice.
mean?
I would also
she
imagine,
doesn't-
Michael.
Yeah. I've seen you imagining, to be fair.
Oh.
But Ben, I haven't watched Ben doing any imagining. Not in the last 5 or 6 years, anyway. Anyway, though, everyone's knobbly and gnarly and distended proportions, and my first vibe was, okay, yeah, it's a hangover from that era of knobbly gnarly, the boys-esque comics, but it's not really at all. It's much closer to. It's a little bit of that mixed with a little bit and then a lot of the old Walt Simonsons.
Yeah. There's big Walt Simonson vibes to this. So as we said, Walt Simonson was the guy that kind of brought Beta Ray Bill to us as a character within the Thoriverse. And I think Daniel Warren Johnson probably idolizes Walt Simonson's art style a little bit. I think, in fairness, I unapologetically adore this art style, and I love this team of Mike Spicer and DWJ. I think they are a powerhouse of creative force, and I think it's rare to find. A writer and artist that can deliver, because Daniel Warren Johnson is both for this, but he's quite adept at writing his own comics. He's done quite a few. Extremity from Image Comics was where he and Mike Spicer began working together, and they've kind of never parted ways since. And anytime a project comes up, he'll get in touch with Mike Spicer and say, "Oh, here, come here to me. I've got this coming up. Do you want to do it?" And Mike Spicer will go, "Yeah, absolutely. Sounds fab."
Well, yeah.
And they kind of knock this stuff out of the park. I get what you're saying about The Boys. It's a gross, grobbly universe, and it's got lots of layers and stuff like that. But I think the fluidity and action of
Yeah, much better.
of Daniel Warren Johnson outclasses. Is it Derek Robertson? Is that who did The Boys? I looked that up, but it could be Daryl Robinson. I'm not sure. Anyway, I think
Preacher, even.
yeah, but there's a fluidity to this comic, I think,
Yes.
that surpasses them. Daniel Warren Johnson has said before that he's very influenced by Japanese comics, particularly shonen manga. Shonen manga would be the likes of Naruto or something like that. And they place a huge emphasis on fluid action, big bombastic panels, a lot of stuff like that. I think this comic does panel layout in a glorious fashion. I think it's a beautiful, fluid, pulsating kind of thing. I think the inking that Daniel Warren Johnson does is unreal. I think he has a real mastery of, I guess you'd call it frenetic or kinetic. Like, it feels very visceral as a form. His outlines, his inking, and yet it's very clean. It's very decipherable. I think it takes an immense talent as an artist to grunge your ink work up that much and still have it read clean.
He's throwing in not distended but exaggerated proportions as people are doing moves. Parts of this are like a wrestling comic.
Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely.
Like Beta Ray Bill is doing arm drags on people and clotheslines and power bombs on people, and
Yeah.
they're not static shots. They're in motion, big shoulders, extended arms swirling around the place. Yeah, it's great. It's fabulous. And it's very cosmic and cross-dimensional, with a slightly fresh take on Nine Realms Asgard stuff.
So this is really interesting to me. First of all, just on the wrestling thing, fabulous panel of Thor getting suplexed by Beta Ray Bill in the memory
Fabulous
labyrinth.
suplex. There's a suplex. There's an arm drag clothesline. There's a.
Yeah.
At one stage, he does Rhea Ripley's Riptide finisher on Surtur,
Yeah.
and panel by panel, you see him setting it up, grabbing Surtur's hand, catching it between Surtur's own legs. Then it's like, we've a wrestling fan here, do we?
Well, Michael, excellent news for anyone who enjoyed the wrestling aspects of this comic, because here on Collecting Issues, our bloody July read is Do a Powerbomb by Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike Spicer from Image Comics, which is a big old cosmic wrestling tournament. It literally has all of the trans-dimensional joy of this combined with Daniel Warren Johnson's obsession with wrestling put into a single comic. Do a Powerbomb. Check it out. Get involved. Follow the podcast. If you've been enjoying
Next
this episode so far, ladies and gentlemen, why don't you give us a follow? Give us a review wherever you've been listening. Go on. Takes 2 seconds.
Takes 2 seconds. I've been sticking my tongue out there with self-pride.
Yes, we've done very well there. For the first time ever, folks, Michael and myself are a little bit organised on our reading order, and we haven't stopped patting ourselves on the back for this. We're just like, yes, look at us. Look at us.
Anyway, what are we talking about?
Anyway, sorry, you were just about to jump into. You were moving on from wrestling to the take on the 9 realms. You were saying.
Oh,
it's
I
a very
was,
different
yeah.
take.
So it's not a very different take. Like it's got all your Muspelheim regulars: fire pits, lava pits, insect winged bug men going fire, fire, flames.
Yeah.
All the usual stuff. But it's I haven't seen it depicted in this kind of art style before. So it was fun. It's not a stunningly unique and refreshing take on particularly Muspelheim, the only one that really... I suppose Asgard looks a little bit more deserty and a little bit more barren than we're used to seeing it, but that might be more to do with the current Thor plot rather than per se DWJ's take on Asgard.
Yeah. So I think, from a publication point of view, this takes place during the King in Black run on Donny Cates, and that's why Fin Fang Foom has that spiral in the center of his head at the beginning of the comic.
Yeah.
He's been possessed by the King in Black, or compelled by the King in Black might be a better way of putting it. But it's quite interesting because Fin Fang Foom and Beta Ray Bill have a history together, because in Beta Ray Bill's first run, he took on Fin Fang Foom. So there's nice little nods here and there to Beta Ray Bill's history within the comics. But you're right, it is an interesting take on the 9 realms. My eyes semi-rolled, or my Marvel fatigue hit hard when we met the Guardians of the Gate of Muspelheim. And I was just like, Jesus Christ, how many more Eternals or Celestials or fucking things do I have to do? How many more Taika Waititi fashion designed creations do I have to deal with?
Thor Ragnarok has a lot to answer for.
Oh,
And so does Jack Kirby, to be fair. They're Jack Kirby. They're not Taika Waititi. They're Jack Kirby. They're Jack Kirby Asgardians. They're Jack Kirby's new gods in Asgard. They're very minor characters, though.
They are. They barely make a blip on the thing. One of the things I found interesting is how influential Thor Ragnarok was on some of the character designs, though. Scourge is Karl Urban.
He's just Karl Urban, Ben.
He's just
He's
Karl
obsessed
Urban.
with guns. He's calling everyone mate.
Yeah. But Surtur is Taika Waititi's Surtur. Surtur in the comics is a weird almost lion-faced god, and this is definitely the MCU version with a little bit of gothic flair added in there.
Are you sure you're not thinking of Gog?
No. The Surtur has like a big sun face in a lot of his original kind of appearances.
Oh. That's kind of... Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, in this, it's very much the MCU version with the big horns, and even more so comicified by Daniel Warren Johnson, who gives him this gothic kind of almost like the Lich from Adventure Time. There's some real interesting flair for Muspelheim. I also like that it's made of gothic cathedrals and is like some kind of Victorian laudanum nightmare of
giant centipedes.
Yeah, gas stuff altogether. But yeah, I suppose looking at some of the other characters, we spoke a little bit about Scourge there. Pip is there. Pip
Pip is there for some reason, yeah.
Doesn't die, doesn't do the big sacrifice, is about to, and then simply
But he's
doesn't.
grand. Yeah,
Be
he
grand.
gets better. Yeah.
Be grand. It was pretty interesting. Scuttlebutt, as I said, is the most interesting one, and you made an interesting point, Michael. For me, she is one of many things in this comic that make me feel like this is a love letter to the album covers of 80s heavy metal. There's so much imagery in this from across, like, 80s heavy metal covers and anything like that. Like, Frank Frazetta, Eat Your Heart Out. Bill is a Frank Frazetta character come to life in a lot of cases. You know, that's what he is. And the color schemes and the space biker bars, and, you know, it's an 80s heavy metal music video on MTV a lot of the time.
Yeah, heavy metal, yeah. Lobo, there's some Lobo vibes.
There's some
to
Lobo
certain
in there,
aspects of this.
big time.
For sure.
But Scuttlebutt was the one that jumped out to me. First of all, that's a very sexy robot lady.
Yeah, I didn't think she was that sexy.
Oh, get out of here.
No, I didn't. Now, I think it might be partially to do with DWJ's style, as in he doesn't draw like she's. And this is kind of going back to what I said about Sif earlier, which wasn't intended to be entirely derogatory. Sif is drawn in this like a normal-ish woman. Mm-hmm. Sif isn't an Amazonian-esque, statuesque, angular goddess.
No.
She's a normal-looking woman in a costume, and no one in this looks like, say, just as a comparison, Ben, as an unnecessarily sexy robot. No one looks like Jocasta from X-Men or Engineer from The Authority. She's not. True. You know, I know that her skin is her outfit in a sense, but she's not presented as like a metal nude woman. I know she kind of is. She kind of is, but I thought she was nearly closer to like a late 70s, early 80s interpretation of Maria from Metropolis.
Yeah.
That vibe, where, you know, she's not Edie from Mass Effect, or she's not fucking that blue woman from Halo.
No, she isn't.
I could just give you an infinite list of ships who get live action avatars who are just nude synthetic women.
Yeah, they're for seconds.
And she's not quite that. But is that because she's not that, or is it because the art style? Like, if a different artist was handling... Now, I know it's writer and artist, so you can't really imagine if a different artist was handling this, because it's one artist's vision. But would it be the classic sex fetish of my ship, who I always thought of as a woman, has grown a human female-looking avatar who is just a sex robot, a.k.a. Mass Effect, Halo, and Andromeda.
Yeah. Well,
Doctor Who.
When I originally read this, I was immediately struck by some of the covers that came out in the 80s for Metal Hurlant, or heavy metal.
Hurlant, as we say in Frenchman.
But they were always done by a very famous... It was called chrome eroticism, Michael, and it was a style pioneered by a Japanese artist called Hajime Sorayama. And I'm going to
resist the urge to say, of course it was.
Of course it was. Okay, fair enough. But he was famous for his suggestive chrome-plated androids that would grace the covers of heavy metal albums and heavy metal comic and all that kind of stuff. And he made a career out of that, but it was the blueprint for my ship's sexy now.
My ship is sexy. My ship has come to life, and she's a sexy lady who loves me
now.
and is naive about the world.
But I think you're right. because I don't think there's two things that make me agree with you that I hadn't previously considered. Number one, Bill doesn't
Fear.
give a fuck.
Bill doesn't give a fuck. And it's almost kind of tragicomic that Scuttlebutt, Scut, as he calls her, which is
Yeah.
very funny for Irish
Yeah,
people,
you
because
wee
the Scut
scut.
is, you wee Scut, get out of here, you wee Scut. But anyway, I read it that Scut is clearly in love with Bill.
That's how I read
Did
it.
you read it that way?
That's how I read it.
And he does not give a toss either
Not
way.
one
He
bit.
doesn't he's too busy thinking about the sword and getting a kiss off Lady Sif.
Yeah. Bloody...
And it's kind of tragicomic in that sense.
Yeah. Sif and a sword. That's what Bill's all about. Sif and a sword and bloody less defined biceps, triceps, traps, and a jawline that's a little less out there.
Flat old face.
Flat old face. He's just looking to be flat old face Bill. That's what he's looking for.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. She is a very
Second
tragic
thing then.
character. Sorry?
There were two reasons that you agree with me.
Oh, and the second reason being, she's not drawn suggestively and she's not born sexy yesterday. She doesn't engage in the born sexy yesterday trope. She is a little bit unaware of some things that the ship couldn't monitor. So occasionally she'll
It's
be
my
like...
first time in this body. I don't know how to process these feelings.
She doesn't quite have that, though. She doesn't quite deal with that because she quickly adapts to the world. One of the things that I think I didn't know Daniel Warren
Will
Johnson
you show
drew.
me how to make love?
So that is the way it could be handled, and thankfully wasn't handled. I think it's a better comic because we didn't have to sit through that. You might not, Michael.
You are famously
I've
approved,
seen your
though.
search history. I've seen your search history. That was where you probably gave up on the comic, but still.
Nah, I threw it in the bin then. Fuck this. This is so boring.
One of the things I really enjoyed about this is how good Daniel Warren Johnson is at drawing ships and mechs and stuff like that. In fact, one of my standout panels for this, Michael, is definitely the cross-sectioned Scuttlebutt in space.
Benjamin. Benjamin, I love a cutaway of a starship. I love it. Oh,
Yeah.
full
So good.
two-page splash cutaway of a starship. Mwah.
So good.
I think I spent about as much time on that page as I did the whole rest of the comic. Did you notice
Michael-
Marvel editorial is one of the rooms?
Yeah, it's there. And then Daniel Warren Johnson is in the bottom right-hand corner of the ship. And then there's a satanic altar to Jack Kirby in another wing of the ship.
Fabulous stuff.
It was great. It was great. I was so taken with it. I just thought it was fab. Yeah, I thought it was really, really good. One of the things that I don't want to finish the episode without talking about, though, Michael, is the final showdown. We've covered it a little bit. We've covered the wrestling-fueled showdown with Surtur. We've covered the design choice for Surtur and stuff. But what I really enjoy is something that Daniel Warren Johnson is frequently complimented for. And I'm going to read this section out from the beginning of the collected issues that we just read, Michael. This is Donny Cates' foreword to this because he passed this on to Daniel Warren Johnson as he was concluding his Thor Prey run.
Fantabulous. Benjamin, are you going to do this in your famous Donny Cates voice?
Yeah, I'm going to do it in a Donny Cates voice. It's going to sound like this. Yeehaw.
Okay, great.
I'm an American that writes comics, and this is what I think they sound like. So, he says, if you know Daniel's work, and if not, you're about to, you know he has this incredible loud, quiet loud to his work that very few people in this industry can thread like he can. It's a delicate balance of the over-the-top action set pieces, and almost seamlessly nestled within and around them, the quietest, most gentle of character moments. Doom metal sludging through an opera house. A Valentine wrapped in napalm.
Poetry almost, Ben.
Poetry almost. But I do think that despite its out there heavy metal space opera vibe, there is an odd amount of depth to characters that I never would have given a second fucking thought to. Scourge has a...
Scourge.
Yeah.
Except Scourge. Nah, he doesn't have any development whatsoever.
But he does have a nice moment where he's like, I thought there was a really nice moment where Pip is in the hospital bed in Scuttlebutt, and he's like never worried about him, and he's almost misty-eyed looking into the thing. He's like, my little buddy got a thrashing.
He's so ugly.
He's so ugly. He's so hideous. But yeah, I think this, I really enjoyed this. I thought this was 5 issues of proper good comic bookery. And I thought it was a nice continuation of a version of Thor that I really enjoyed when we read it in Prey. And I thought this was a lovely little self-contained... Because I don't know what happened after this. I don't know if Bill goes on to wield Twilight across the Marvel Universe. I doubt it. But I don't think... Or it's not how I feel. I don't know if Scuttlebutt is still an anthropomorphic ship that hangs around with him. Because we don't see that much Beta Ray Bill. But I thought this was a great outing for Beta Ray Bill. I enjoyed the fuck out of this.
Yeah, very good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. When I popped it open the first time and I saw the art style, I went, oh, I'm not sure I'm going to like this. I don't know if I want to see Beta Ray Bill in the style of The Boys or Preacher and that kind of grobbly, grim and ugly character world. But I adjusted that very quickly and went, no, this art style is exactly right for what we need.
Nailed it.
Nailed it, nail on the head. And it's a great story of a man going on an adventure for a bad reason and realizing at the end that, okay, we went on an adventure and we got the sword, but still feel the same.
I think that's the most devastating part of this, Michael. It ends kind of abruptly, where he's looking in the mirror, he's pretty horrific, he's relived all his darkest moments, and he still doesn't feel good about himself. He's like,
great.
Man, what a...
Fucking waste of a quest.
And you are just sitting there. But that's what I mean. Like, this has such an Adventure Time vibe in it, in that sometimes, like, this is a weird parallel, but it is one that occurred to me quite a bit in this, in its out there, almost psychedelic kind of epicness that doesn't lead anywhere. You know, sometimes characters go on journeys and they don't change. They just go, I got what I wanted, and now, I don't, well.
Yeah. It's like going to the shop.
Yeah, I went to the shop and I suplexed Demgod, and here I am.
Yeah, I don't feel any better.
Got my evil pint of milk, and that's that.
Don't feel that much.
This is a great comic.
To be honest.
But come here to me, Michael. Do you know who I want to hear
What
from?
is it? The listeners.
The listeners. What did you think of the comic? Ladies and gentlemen and friends beyond the binary, what did you make of this little shindig? Let us know in all the places down below in the description at Collecting Issues Podcast on most of our platforms. If you can't find us, there's a link below in the episode. Leave us a comment, leave us a review, let us know what you think. We are now taking suggestions for our September, October, November issues. We want to hear what we should be reading come the autumn, Michael. Come the autumn.
Oh, come the fall for the Americans.
Come the fall
Something
for the
spooky, Ben, for Halloween.
Yeah. But give us your suggestions. Go on. Go down there. Leave us a comment. Tell us what we should be reading. If you haven't had enough of us, great news. Great news. We'll be back in about 2.5 weeks' time, or 2 weeks' time, with Daniel Warren Johnson and Mike Spicer's Do a Power Bomb.
Wrestling in space.
Wrestling in space. Yeah, it'll be great. So tune in for that and give us a follow so you don't miss it. Go on, get out of here. Go on, go read more comics. Way with you scut. Oh, hang on. Oh, Mick's playing with his sword. Yeah, there we go.
Got the sword, Ben.
He's got Twilight in his hands. How do you feel?
Feel the same. Same.
Ah. Sorry, bud.
All right, well, see you in 2 weeks.
On the upside, we have this great new podcast recording studio on our sentient ship.
Yay!
Yay!
Hope it's sexy.